there is a pattern hiding in plain sight. Friday evening, the phone buzzes, a gathering, a dinner, an invitation to be somewhere loud and bright with people, and millions of people every week do the exact same thing. They look at the message, feel a brief flicker of guilt and choose home. Not a dramatic refusal, just a quiet redirect, the couch, a book, headphones, the kind of evening that looks like nothing from the outside. But inside, something interesting happens. The shoulders drop, the jaw unclenches, the brain, which has been fielding signals all day like an air traffic controller, finally gets to close the runway and process the backlog. If that sounds familiar, your nervous system has been running an operation you were never taught to name, and the mechanism behind it is more precise than any personality quiz will ever tell you. In 1967, a psychologist named Hans Eysenck, working at the University of London, proposed something that would take 40 years to confirm. He called it the optimal arousal theory. The idea sounds simple, but its implications are enormous. Every human brain has a baseline level of cortical activity, a kind of default electrical hum that runs when no external stimulation is present. No conversation, no noise, no input, just the brain ticking over. Eysenck's insight was that this baseline is not fixed at the same level for everyone. For some people, the default hum is low. Their cortex in its resting state is relatively quiet, and they need external stimulation. People, music, events, novelty to bring their arousal up into a range that feels alert and engaged. Without it, they feel restless, flat, understimulated. For others, the baseline hum is already high. Their cortex at rest is already busy, processing, replaying, analyzing, planning. For these people, adding external stimulation does not bring the system into a sweet spot. It pushes past it. The dial goes from comfortable to overloaded. An overload does not feel like excitement. It feels like noise. Now here is where it gets interesting. For decades, Eysenck's theory was a beautiful model without direct biological evidence. Then came the fMRI. In 2008, a research team scanned the brains of introverts and extroverts in a resting state, no tasks, no stimulation, just lying still, doing nothing. What they found was striking. Introvert brains at rest showed significantly more blood flow in the prefrontal cortex and frontal lobes, regions associated with internal dialogue, long-term planning and memory consolidation. The brain was not idle, it was running maintenance, sorting, filing, connecting ideas gathered during the day. Meanwhile, extrovert brains at rest showed higher activity in the sensory cortex, the parts that respond to incoming stimuli. One brain type tuned inward by default, the other tuned outward, neither better, but wired for different operating conditions. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because the difference is not just about how loud the baseline hum is, it is about which chemical the brain uses to feel reward. Most people, when they think about pleasure, think about dopamine. And with good reason, dopamine is the headline neurotransmitter. It fires when something new happens, a party, a risk, a compliment, a notification, a first date. Dopamine rewards you for engaging with the outside world. It is the neurochemistry of novelty. But there is a second reward pathway that rarely makes the headlines: acetylcholine. This neurotransmitter fires under very different conditions. Deep concentration, sustained reading, a long, unbroken chain of thought. The moment when something you have been thinking about for days finally clicks into place. A conversation that goes quiet and deep instead of loud and wide. Researchers Scott and Deering found that in people with high baseline cortical arousal, not because it is a more evolved path, it is simply a different circuit running on a different fuel. And here is where the whole picture snaps into focus. You walk into a social event. For about 20 minutes, the novelty keeps the system engaged. New faces, new data, enough fresh signal to hold interest. But somewhere around the 30 to 40 minute mark, something shifts. The new signal stops being new. The conversations start repeating their patterns. The noise level, which felt like background at first, moves to the foreground. You start noticing how loud the music is, how bright the lights are, how many simultaneous conversations are competing for processing power in your head. Your eyes begin scanning for exits, for balconies, for the one quiet corner where the signal is lower. This is not social anxiety. This is not poor socialization. This is your cortex reporting clearly and specifically that the incoming stimulation has exceeded its processing capacity. The volume knob has been pushed past the comfort range, and the only way to reset is to reduce the input. Home. Silence. A closed door. That book. Those headphones. The acetylcholine pathway finally getting its turn to deliver the reward the brain has been waiting for all day. Alright, the mechanism is clear. Now the part that actually matters for real life. You have heard the standard advice: you need to socialize more, get out of your comfort zone. You will never achieve anything from your couch. This advice carries a hidden assumption that every brain starts from the same resting volume, that the person staying home is simply not trying hard enough. But now you know the circuitry. Telling someone whose cortex is already at high volume to seek more stimulation is like turning up a speaker that is already distorting. The advice is not wrong in the abstract. It is wrong for this specific wiring. And that distinction matters more than most people realize. But here is the part that most people in this space will not say out loud. And it is actually the most important part. Because a mechanism is a map, not an excuse. And maps are only useful if they help you tell one territory from another. Sitting at home because your acetylcholine pathway rewards depth, because your cortex is already full, because your nervous system genuinely recovers in quiet. That is one landscape. Sitting at home because you are afraid of being judged, because social situations trigger something you would rather not examine, because the door is not a preference but a wall you have built between yourself and the world. That is a completely different landscape. Same couch, same Friday evening, same closed door, a completely different mechanism underneath. And the honest question, the one most videos about introversion will never ask, is this: is staying home your setting or your shelter? That question does not have a comfortable answer. And nobody can answer it for you. So here is what we actually know. Your brain is not broken, it is not missing a component. It runs on a different reward circuit: acetylcholine over dopamine, depth over breadth, internal processing over external performance. If you feel that quiet settling when the door clicks shut, now you understand exactly which mechanism makes it happen. Not a personality type, not a label, a circuit. But there is one more thing worth sitting with. Quietly. No audience. If you genuinely feel at peace alone, why were you looking for a video to confirm it? Maybe the answer is simple: curiosity, the pleasure of recognition. Or maybe there is something underneath that curiosity that does not have a comfortable name yet. Either way, the question is worth keeping. Next time, we look at what happens when your brain chooses the familiar over the new, and why rewatching the same show for the fourth time might be the smartest thing your nervous system does, or the most dangerous. That mechanism goes even deeper.